Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's another Saturday night, so that means it's us you are joined with. You have the pleasure of speaking to for the next hour and a bit. So, Covey, how are you doing?
All right, mate. I'm getting a bit of a routine of rushing home from work, getting in my armchair and setting up in front of the laptop. But yeah, all good fun, mate. Still buzzing from last night, bro.
Oh, what happened last night?
Mate, we had some legend on. Mate, Twitter's been buzzing, hasn't it? Twitter's been buzzing.
Was it guy from Trevor by any chance?
The legend, the one and only.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching by now, check and watch that. Trevor Sinclair, what a guest he was, man, wasn't he?
Yeah, mate, he was so good. So good. And to find, I dug that goal out this morning. The first thing I'd done this morning was search for that goal that he spoke about against Man City, and then I posted it to him this morning. And then he's retweeted it, and it went a little bit mad as well. So it was good.
There you go. You've got friends in high places now, eh?
Well,
you didn't like that.
Yeah. No, so before we've got Peter who's come on. Evening, Pete. We've got someone who's a new viewer we've got tuning in. He's one of my players. Boy, he plays for Bishop Stortford Swift. Kurt Smith, so his dad Tony. So I just wanted to say hello to Tony. Thanks for tuning in. Your boy's ledge. So make sure he stays with Swifts next season.
There you go. Oh yeah, didn't one of our viewers get a birthday shout out from Trevor Sinclair himself?
Morgs, yeah, Dave Morgan. I'm gonna screenshot it and I'm gonna send that to him every year.
There you go. See, we look after our viewers.
Never got to buy him a drink, a card, nothing ever again.
Exactly. Look, we look after our viewers, man. Look, if we've got people on, and again, people that they look up to as well, Trevor Sinclair, West Ham, Man City, England, then by all means, man, we just want to make sure that everyone has the pleasure of speaking to them as well. So yeah.
Do you know the Tottenham and Liverpool results? I don't know. How'd they get on?
I love it.
Yeah, I can't even banter anyone anymore because as soon as Arsenal play, they just get battered as well.
It's all fun and games. It's all part of it, right? You know what I mean? If your rival loses or someone that's at the top loses, then you got to give them a little bit of stick in it.
Oh, mate, you dig people out. We dig people out, and the very next day, it's like, fuck, we'd probably get battered like tomorrow by Leeds, like 3 or 4-0, and maybe 1 again.
Well, all I say is just enjoy it for the next 24 hours. You know what I mean? So just enjoy it for the next 24 hours. I certainly am. All the Tottenham fans are taking stick. Sanchez is making his best cow impressions.
Mate, I don't know. I think that's the only goal I haven't seen yet.
Oh my God, you've got to see it.
Face planted, didn't he?
Face planted on the floor. It's like he tried to do a Phil. Remember that Phil Jones one that went viral on the floor trying to. I think he's attempted to do that, and astonishing stuff to say the least. But it's definitely got to be Man City's title to win, or to lose, in fact.
Yeah, we got some confirmation as well today from another huge guest. Who will be appearing in the future. We won't give nothing away, but he was mentioned at some point during last night's show. So, little teaser.
There you go. Even more of an incentive to watch last night's show, even if you just want to get a little bit of a hint of who the next guest could be, because we've got a few guests coming up, not only tonight but going forward as well. So make sure you stay tuned.
Exactly. Subscribe to the channel. That's the easiest way. Keep up to date. Done.
There you go. It doesn't cost you a penny. Subscribe, like, share the content. You know what I mean? We're in lockdown, so again, what else have you got to do? You know what I'm saying? So
exactly. Look at my ugly mug on a Saturday night.
Exactly. But what we got going on tonight then? Talk us through.
First guest, #United player coach Tommy Williams. He's had a colourful career. He's played over 300 games as well, or nearly coming up to 300 professional appearances. So you know what I mean. He's no mug. You know, he's had a good old career, and now he's passing on his knowledge to the boys over at #United. And you all know what they're doing. They're doing now. They've got to be going for the league title next season. they've got to get out of that Essex senior. But our guest at the end of this, our final guest, I've missed the middle one out from it, because our final guest will be also going for the title in Essex Senior League. Jason Maher, the manager of Saffron, Walden Town. So it's good that we've got both part of the management team from both clubs on tonight, because they're pretty much the top rivals. I suppose there's between them, Walthamstow, Hadley, maybe another one or two, but they're like the top 4 big hitters.
So basically, we can do some esh stirring. In fact, we can swear on it. We can do some shit stirring on it. Basically, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Oh no, demonetization's gone.
Yeah. No. So they're big rivals, and then in the middle we've got Billericay Town, gaffer Kevin Watson. He's had a top career as well, Mr. Promotion. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to tonight.
Awesome. All right then. So without further ado, should we get our first guest in?
Yes.
He's ready and waiting in the background. Here we go, Mr.
Williams.
Guys, how are we?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Hashtag player coach, 40 years old. Still playing?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, bit of a strange one, really. Had a bad injury last season, really bad injury, and had a couple operations in the lockdowns, and played 2 halves at pre-season, and the manager's just said to me, Are you okay? Do you feel all right? You look like you've lost a ton of weight and stuff like that. I'd lost a ridiculous amount of weight, and he just said, "Why don't you just leave it for a bit, because you're clearly not quite right." So I did pull myself back out from playing. So I haven't played at all this season, but gradually put the weight back on and started to join back in training, and towards the end I was getting a bit closer again. So never say never for next season.
What was the injury? Because it sounds like I could do with that.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody, if I'm honest. I've got to be honest. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I nearly lost my hand. I sliced my hand. Really
was that when you got sent off? Is that when you got sent?
It was, yeah. It was, yeah. It wasn't overly to do with that. I put my hand through a glass window. And sliced my ulnar nerve, sliced my artery, sliced my veins,
wow.
And was lucky enough to end up keeping my hand. But I lost a lot of weight from the pain medication that I was on. But 2 operations, and I've put the weight back on now, so I'm a bit better. Yeah. I
remember reading and seeing all that about the hand injury. I didn't know it was that bad. God.
Yeah, it was really bad. I didn't want to sort of play it up too much or play it down. You know, I got sent off. I went through the back of the stadium to get to the changing rooms. They were all closed up, locked up. Could get to them. Came back to the stadium, nobody there. Went back to the windows, saw somebody inside the home dressing room. Banged on the window panel between the 2 restrooms twice, and my hand just went straight through it.
Wow.
There was a few bad shouts that I punched the window and smashed it, but had I punched it, I would have been absolutely fine, because I would have had my knuckles, not through the entirety of my wrist. I don't know if you can see it. So by banging on the window like that, sliced through a really important nerve. Is what it is. That's life. It's football. You get on with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I pictured it as something different. I thought you lost your rag, got sent off, had enough, went through the window. That sort of dramatic. But
don't get me wrong. I was fuming, and when I got to the dressing room the first time, I kicked the door a couple of times. But everything was locked up. I was like carting around, was walking around. I had nowhere to go. I walked back to the stand. No one was there. I walked back to the changing room, and then it just happened. Yeah, it wasn't overly in a fit of anger or rage. I didn't hit the window very hard or anything, but is what it is.
Wow.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. So obviously we're trying to get as many people on with to do with grassroots and non-league. You're like the perfect example. The way your career started, flying at Walden and Ayrsham, and then picked up by West Ham. I think it was like 40 or 50 grand, wasn't it? They paid for you.
Yeah, it was a funny one. It's a sort of dream scenario, isn't it, that you read about and you think that that's never going to happen, but it does happen. And it did happen to me. Yeah. It wasn't as simple as I was just a Walden Hersham. I was at Chelsea for a long time, for nearly 7 years. But then came away from them when they didn't want to sign me. I played at Leatherhead for a very, very short time. And then bought a successful Walden Hersham youth team. And it just shows that there are people out watching all levels at all times. Yeah. And it's such a good example. I'm pleased to say that my story of how I started is such a good example of how things really can go good for you. Yeah,
yeah. And then they sort of load you out to Peterborough, and then your sort of love affair with Peterborough United came around, because it's been like a massive part of your life, hasn't it, Peterborough?
Yeah, huge part of my life. I was at West Ham, and Harry was really particular about where boys went out on loan. If as you can imagine, the sort of the conveyor belt of talent that wasn't even getting in the first team squad was huge, and loads of clubs are asking for boys from Premier League clubs all the time. But he's really particular about where people go and how he think. And not a lot of people know that he's really particular about where you go and where you improve and how they play and how he think that will develop your game and what the manager's like there. And he turned down 3 or 4 loan opportunities for me, and then Barry Fry said he'd like to take me, and he thought that'd be a really good fit, the way they played and the way how I played. So I went on loan for a month, really enjoyed it. Harry got sacked in the summer. I didn't overly see eye to eye with Glenn Roeder anyway at the time, so it was a perfect opportunity to go and sign permanently for Peterborough. And I still had 2 years left on my West Ham deal, but I wanted to go and play.
Yeah.
And like you say, that's where the romance started. I'm a great affiliation with the club now since then and until now. I still speak to the owner. I still speak to the people involved at the club on a regular basis.
Yeah, I bet you're a shoo-in for the celebrity, the Legends team, aren't you?
I've played for them already, yeah. But I played for them. They had a game against the Arsenal Legends. We ducked them 6-2, I think. That was a while ago, actually. You
ain't got to be much. I played about 12 games for the Arsenal celebrity Legends. Who's that?
They weren't great. I'll be honest. It didn't seem like an overly fair game, if I'm honest. We had a few boys that were 35, 36, and they had a few boys that were 55, 56. Yeah. It didn't really overly fit. But it's a great club, Peterborough, for so many reasons. The way they're doing in League One at the minute just shows how far they've come. I mean, when I signed for them, they were sort of technically a league, what you'd call League Two conference side. They'd gone up and down a few times there, and then they jumped up into League One. And the time that I was there was the highest position they'd had for a long, long time. Left and came back and won a couple of promotions again. And they've done a little bit of a yo-yo act recently with the Champ and League One, but they've got a great model, and the owner knows exactly what he's doing now there.
Yeah. So going on to, I'm not going to bypass everything. I just want to talk about it briefly, because of obviously you've been at non-league clubs before. You've been at a load of professional clubs.
Yeah.
You've played represented your country. You've played in the States. You've been around a bit. You're not a mug. So now you're at Hashtag. I know Hashtag are trying to become this. I'm supposing their plan is going to be to eventually get to the Premier League. That would be ultimate. But how does that? What's life at Hashtag like?
I don't know. I don't know if the plan is to get to the Premier League, but the system that they're now in, it's a possibility. It is a possibility. Is it a reality? I'm not sure. Is it a possibility? Yes. I think the main aim of the club when they started was, to encourage non-league, to encourage fans to non-league, to make them really enjoy it, to get the younger generation enjoying it. And that is definitely something that they've been incredibly successful in the short period that they've been in the football pyramid, which is only 2.5 seasons ago. What it is a fantastic team, club and family to play for and to be involved with. You find that when you speak to some players in the lower leagues and non-league, that they get disheartened and they fall out of love a little bit if it's not quite going their way, where it's almost impossible to have that feeling at Hashtag, if that makes sense. There's such a lot of good vibes and good feeling that everybody's happy, and it's a great place to play football. It's a great place to come and watch football. It's great now that the club has ladies teams involved and youth teams involved, and for me it can only move forward. And you know, I caught your intro, and the aim is to get out the Essex senior as quickly as possible. Definitely.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask about Spencer. Obviously, he's the founder. What's he like to work with as a founder? Obviously, the name as well kind of got a bit of stick as well originally, Hashtag and all the rest of it not being an actual place. So how have you kind of dealt with all of that stuff and being under someone like Spencer as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Spen's fantastic. What he's done is phenomenal. And if you're lucky enough to spend sort of 10-15 minutes with him in any kind of situation, you can't help but like him and admire what he's doing. The name is a little bit Marmite. You love it, you hate it. It's young, it's fresh, it's new. You know, we're all moving with the times. We're all on podcasts, interviews. We're all on social media. Times have changed. You know, we're not in the 80s. We're not in the 90s where you could listen to the games on radio and teletext. It's a totally different situation now. So I think it's just it really shows some real freshness, and it's really encouraging for the younger generation to get involved with non-league. I found out about the club through my kids, so which is a crazy thing. They told me about it. They knew about it before me, and my youngest got me to take him to a game at Wembley. I think it was 4 years ago, where they played another team when they weren't in the football pyramid, and he loves it. He's obsessed with it. He watches a lot of his stuff on YouTube, not on telly, where a lot of stuff's being watched now. I mean, more stuff is watched on YouTube than it is on television. So it's a fantastic platform that they're using. They're growing in popularity by the day, and I can only see successful things. It's a great platform for players that want to come and play, for fans that want to come and watch. Not only that, we've got a fantastic media team, and Spencer's always open to giving people opportunities to work within the club. And I'm privileged to be involved with it.
Yeah. How was being involved in all of that? Because obviously you've had a very good career previous to that. How have you kind of seen your eyes open to all of this? You know, your team's on Twitch now. You're using all these social media platforms as well, playing on YouTube, getting bigger views, arguably, than like most professional teams above you. So how have you kind of been open your eyes to all of that sort of stuff there?
Yeah, it is something that you have to adapt to and take in your stride. And like you say, the things like Twitch, where we were the first team to stream a game live and had 55,000 people watching the game, which is phenomenal. To having our FA Cup game streamed on BBC, which is great in our first season in the FA Cup. But it is something that you it's something you quickly get used to within the club. Everything's filmed, everything's documented, and we're really made aware that we are setting an example for the younger generation, and it's really enjoyable because I see the enjoyment that my kids get out of it. The transition wasn't that difficult for me. I was asked to come along and help out at a pre-season game a couple of years ago. I've been out injured for a while. And after the game, Debs, I'm sure you guys know, he said to me, "Did I fancy coming on board and playing and helping him out and see what we could do?" And I said, "Yeah." I said to him, "I've had a really bad knee injury, so I don't know how much use you'll get out of me, but thoroughly enjoyed it and played nearly every game that season."
Yeah. So I played with Jay when we was at Walden United back in the day. He was a fantastic player. And I can imagine that he brings a very professional way of managing. But I bet you know where the line is with him. I bet the camera doesn't film everything with him.
He's brilliant. I've got such admiration for Debs on so many levels. We speak all the time, as obviously you can imagine, and Keithy as well. I'm sure you know Joe, the assistant. Yeah. I feel we work great as a three. I've loads of fun times with them, not only at training but at the games. But the Debs is a real special character, and I think he loves it at hashtag, and hashtag's very lucky to have him. And I'll be honest with you, he sort of in this season here, where he sort of phoned me and said, "Hey, are you sure you're okay? You just don't look yourself. You look like you've lost a lot of weight." And I hadn't overly seen it myself. And if he hadn't have he actually kind of pulled me out of the training and the games. He didn't say, "Oh, we'll have a rest." He said, I'm going to pull you out. And I think if he hadn't, I probably would have ended up with an injury, definitely with an injury, because I definitely wasn't ready to play football at the beginning of this season. I really wasn't. And he's got a great relationship with the players. And exactly what you said, you know what the line is with him. He's very authoritative, but very fun at the same time. And I think it's a brilliant quality of his.
Yeah, the way he mixes it, you can tell just in his mannerisms and his persona. I think Dev's going to go up, whether that's with hashtag or not. But he's
I think like you said, though, I think the good thing with not just having a really good and hungry manager is younger players that come to us and successful. Hopefully, we can have success at the same time and move up at the same time. But at the same time, you don't want to hold players back. Sometimes players get better than the club in one time, and sometimes the club's better than players, and that's when you leave the players behind and they drop down with teams. But I think Dev's is really enjoying it. I think you can see that, and hopefully we can progress at the same time.
Yeah. So going back to we're getting on to hashtag again in a bit. Going back to your sort of your career, you had a few clubs.
Yeah.
So where was you playing when you made your international debut?
I was at Swansea at the time, over in Wales, and that was a real fun project as well. That was a crazy couple of years of similar to Peterborough. The second spell, it was literally everything was up and positive and progressing through League Two, through League One, and then obviously fantastic new stadium, investors, managers like Roberto Martinez coming in. Yeah. After that, I'd left, but then after that they had Brendan Rodgers coming in. So to be involved in the rise of two clubs that are really, really fond to me was real special moments. And the 2 years I had at Swansea and the 2 years I had at Peterborough were probably the best 4 years for me in football.
And when you look at your list of clubs, there's a lot of clubs on there, and there's a lot of big clubs on there. But what would be, obviously you seem to be dragged back to Peterborough a lot. So obviously is that where you call home? Is Peterborough the club?
I'm not sure what it was. People that know me well just love that I love playing football. I'm closer to 41 than I am 40 now, and I still want to play football, which is probably going to be the death of me at some point. But I love it. I love playing. I love everything about it. I love the lads. I love the competitiveness. I love the routine. I need the routine. Went to Peterborough in the first time because I really enjoyed it. I wanted to go back and I wanted to play, and I wanted to play regularly. I didn't want to be scrambling to get in a squad at West Ham that at the time I was a long way off. And Barry Fry gave me an opportunity to go and play football and express myself, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. He then took me back on loan after I'd been out injured for a little while. He sort of said, we'll do each other a favour. You coming back would be great for us and you. And it was, even though that was a short period. I think it was only 3 months. It worked for both of us. People ended up staying up. They didn't get relegated. I managed to get some match fitness in, and then I left Swansea and went to Wickham, which I don't know how you look at it, did or it didn't work out. I played 18 games at Wickham, I think, or 14 games at Wickham. And Barry phoned me again and said, Darren wants to sign you. He watched it last weekend away at Wrexham, and he just thinks it should be great for the team. And I was like, Baz, I've just put it out. I'm sure, So he said, don't worry, we'll sort it out. And within a week, I was back there, and then spent nearly 3 years back at the club, back-to-back promotions, which not many people can tick the box for. It's something that's very, very special.
Yeah.
Who would you say was like the best manager that you played under, and why?
So many characters, so many different people, styles. Some serious, some just you couldn't take seriously.
How did you like to be managed? How did you prefer to be managed? That might make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I get that. I needed the rocket every now and again. I did. I wasn't. You didn't need to put your arm around me. I didn't need that. I didn't need backing. I needed the rocket every now and again. Not very often. I needed the license. I needed that free license to just go, just bomb on, playing at fullback. And most let me do that, and most were happy for me to do that, which was great. And that's how they got the best out of me as well. So obviously Fergie I speak really highly of. Darren Ferguson, Barry Fry I still speak to. Came to my wedding. Look at him as a bit of a father figure. I still speak to Harry every time I see him when we see each other at events, and we have a laugh and joke that I wasn't ready at the time to play for West Ham. It's as simple as that. They signed me on a pro deal, 5-year deal, but I wasn't ready at the time. You don't realise that, but looking back, I wasn't. But he still had the best interest for me at the time. He handpicked the team that I went on loan to. And he must have got that right, because I kept going back there and being successful there. So he knows what he's talking about. Steve Bruce, he signed me at Birmingham. I was his first signing at Birmingham.
Don't mention Steve Bruce. Clinton don't like Steve Bruce.
No? Okay.
I'm a Newcastle fan, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, it's tough. I think it's a really, really tough job, that Newcastle. It kind of feels like a no-win job, one of those ones. Obviously he did brilliant when he came in, and then you look at how they're playing, and it's tough. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. It's a club with big expectations that spend a lot of money and got really fanatical fans. So it's incredibly difficult. But all I'll say, knowing Steve Bruce really well, is that he's incredibly passionate, and he's so that's all he lives and breathes, as I'm sure you know. But sometimes fans can get disillusioned with, what's he doing? And I can guarantee that every second of every thought is going into how he can be successful there. I've no doubt of that. For me, I just think it's really tough. I mean, what are your expectations as a Newcastle fan for them finishing in the Premier League?
We're not going to win any titles anytime soon. I know that for a fact. Not going to qualify for Europe anytime soon, but it would be nice to see some sort of attractive football, which I think we've now sort of attracted. But it's kind of got a coincidence as another guy's come involved as well, i.e. Graham Jones. So I don't know if it's Steve Bruce has finally clicked after 18 months or whatever, but it's a sticky one anyway. I've seen a lot of stuff that's gone on throughout the week, which has been off the pitch in regards to Bruce, which I don't agree with at all. The whole death threats thing.
Sure.
But in terms of football, let's put it this way: he wasn't my first choice, but he's there now. He's there to do a job, and just trying to put it nicely in a nice way.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I look at teams outside the top 4, definitely, and then probably down to 8 or 10. Your job is, unfortunately, to keep the team in the league. If you look at Norwich as an example, everyone was raving about how they were playing last year. Raving, oh my God, the football they played. They were bankers to go down from day one. It's whether you want a team to stay up in the Premier League or do you want them to go down fighting? Because you're going to go down. You're going to go down fighting. Trust me. Because if you try and outplay the top 4 and the top 6, you get found out. It's as simple as that. They're up there for a reason, and everybody would love to play Guardiola football, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for everybody. And I went to watch quite a few Norwich games last year, and they just kept doing the same. And Leeds are doing the same thing in a minute. They won't go down this year. I guarantee you Leeds go down next year. They keep coming in at half-time 4-0 down, and Bielsa's going to them, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're losing 4-0 at half-time. Keep playing it across the back. But, it works sometimes. But I think by the time next season comes around, I think they would have been completely found out, Leeds, the way they're playing. I think they'll go down this year. I've said that to a lot of people. So Bruce's role is really difficult because he has to keep Newcastle in the league. It's the season they went down, Newcastle, they played some good football. They played some great football. But they went down. It's like, it's really, really tricky. And I get it. What do you want? Do you want attractive football and to lose, or do you want to fight and stay in the league? And I get it totally, because there's nothing better than playing attractive football. But I also think there's nothing better than the Premier League. So it's a really, really tricky situation. Bournemouth kind of got away with it for a long time. I'm not saying got away with it. They did it really well. If you look at Sheffield United last year, they were fantastic the way they played. They've been found out this year. They're odds on to go down. They haven't really changed the way they play. You wouldn't say they play boring football or unattractive football, but they're going to go down. Newcastle won't go down. It's really, really difficult. Really difficult. I think he's got a really tough job there.
Yeah. It's a question there from Kurt Smith.
Kurt Smith says, now you can look back. If you could pick one thing to tell your younger self, what would it be?
Stop going out. Stop going out, Willows. Get yourself in.
Is that why you kept going back to Peterborough? Because it's easy to get to from sort of Essex.
No, not at all. No, I'm only joking. Don't get me wrong. I only went out at the right time, so I can guarantee you that. My wife can tell you that as well. I only ever went out.
Man at 40. That's what make this.
Yeah. I've always looked after myself. A couple of times where I had what you'd call confrontations or disagreements with managers. Maybe if I just kept them to myself, probably cost me a lot of money in future contracts. But saying that, I wear my heart on my sleeve as well. I felt it at the time, so I said those things. Difficult. Couple of times where I had opportunities to move. Maybe I shouldn't have done. Maybe I shouldn't have done at the time. But I always only ever moved for bigger contracts or more stability or more money. It wasn't fans give it the you're not loyal and all that, but no one's paying my bills when I finish playing football. So you have to look after your family, and that's what it is. Maybe a couple of times I should have stayed where I was. Because successful things were brewing at the clubs that I was at, and if I'd stayed a bit longer, I would have been part of that. But difficult one really. Maybe know when to keep your mouth shut a couple of times.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you did move around a bit, because you spoke probably how it was. Well,
the thing about my moves and stuff, they were never instigated by the clubs that I was at. It was always the clubs that I was going to. So no one ever tried to get rid of me.
Oh, that's all right,
which is a good thing, and something I can say honestly, openly, and very proudly. I also got taken by managers that moved on to the clubs that they went to, so that obviously shows something, a real quality as well. I'm not sure. I think obviously playing in the times I did a little while ago, that sort of left back role was a little bit of a niche. We have a lot more left backs and lefties now. It seemed a very sort of niche market at the time, so I was in demand quite a bit of the time, which was lucky.
You got two of the best left foots in your dugout, haven't you?
We got three good left foots. Three good.
Joe Keefe played for me a couple of seasons ago. I signed him as just a big, unbelievable marquee signing.
Yeah.
Mate, he was still unbelievable. We played 45 minutes. It was just like watching Maradona. He was just taking liberties with people.
I love Joe. I think Joe's fantastic. He's a really good coach. He really loves his football. I think he came out of the game a little bit too early. He said to me he fell out of love with it a little bit. But yeah, great player. Could play in loads of positions, and every now and again in training when he joins in, he doesn't like to, but when he does, you can see the quality, and the boys are like, where's he come from?
His nephew's not bad either, is he? His nephew Albie ain't bad either.
I really like Alb. Yeah, he's a really good player. He's one that just needs confidence and a run of games, loads of ability. Yeah, real natural lefty. I like the way he plays. Lovely boy as well.
Yeah, I had him on loan when I was at manager of Ilford about 4 years ago, and even then you could just tell. I think he was only 18 then, 17 or 18.
Yeah,
he was just unreal. He was an unreal player.
Yeah, he's got bundles of ability.
Yeah, he was so advanced for his age. You know, he was above him. He was just playing so above himself.
He knows I'm a big fan of his. I tell him constantly how good I think he is, and he's one that shouldn't be restricted by staying in the Essex team with hashtag for sure. If he develops quicker than the club does, he's someone that can definitely move higher.
So hashtag have made a lot of moves over the last season or two with the ladies. Had a youth set up. I suppose the next two steps, maybe I don't know how long the contract is with Bowers, is to find your own place. Hopefully, if that's on the agenda, I don't know if that's in the plans, and maybe start a vet side.
That's all right.
Yeah, a couple of moves location-wise in a couple of years, and that was necessity, really. Obviously, we needed a place to play, and I'm not involved in that side at all. But I know Spen and Seb, his brother, working tirelessly on the future, and I know that includes their own venue at some time in the future. But you have to do what works for you now and what works for the club right now as well. You can't get ahead of yourself. And if I'm honest, I didn't overly enjoy the season at Tilbury. The pitch was shocking, not through lack of effort from Tilbury or the grounds people. Just it was. We had a horrific season for weather, and it couldn't take the 2-3 games a week that was on it. And we literally finished. There wasn't a blade of grass on it. But we've moved to Bowers, and again, back on the 4G, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it allows you to play football and allows you to play regularly. And it's a great thing for non-league football that they're allowed to do that now, because there'll be even less games on than there are, due to COVID and stuff. But it works for us at the minute. They, our landlords have been great to us. They're really welcoming, and it's good to have a system where we're training on the pitch as well. Twice a week, and it works for us at the minute, and it's proven successful because we've had another successful half a season.
Yeah.
Tom, how have you found it against opposition? Because often I was watching a documentary, in fact, this week. Really good documentary, by the way. And I think I remember Jay saying, any team that comes to you, you're a big scout because of obviously the whole, media surrounding you guys. I mean, even the likes of SC Dons, you probably know very well, they want to play you. So how do you kind of find that all these teams have history on you, but you don't have history on them because they don't have the same sort of, prowess as you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, since I've been involved, so this is our third season, but we've only completed one, unfortunately. But I can say this with my hand on my heart, every single game that we've played has been the other team's cup final. Every single game for three seasons. And I get that totally, because of the extra attention that we get, because of every game that we play is filmed and is put out there to be criticised. And to give you an example, been to go and watch other teams, and we haven't, when they're not playing us, just to see how they're doing and stuff. They've not even got two players on the bench. Playing 11, they've got one on the bench. and they come to us with a squad of 25.
Yeah,
that's just a simple little example. They can't fill a bench the week before, but they're bringing 25 to play against us. It's as simple as that. Every time we play, players are asking, do you want to sign me? Do you want to sign me? Almost every team you play, and it's something that the players have to deal with, and the management staff have to deal with, and it's a big learning curve. But I think the players have done great with it. Don't quote me. I think we've lost one game in a year. I think in all competition over the 2 seasons, which is phenomenal. So obviously we lost a couple of games on penalty shootouts in the FA Cups and stuff, but to do that and to play, I think we've played 6 teams from higher divisions. To lose one game in a calendar year over 2 seasons, I think is fantastic, and that's purely down to the boys.
Got a couple quick questions here. One from Abigail. She asks, how much crossover do you have with the women's team, and what do you think the future for them looks like?
The girls are great. We do a lot of filming with the girls. They come to our games, we go to their games. They support us, we support them, and it's great for them because they're on a platform playing teams. I think they're in a league with Ipswich, with Billericay, which are ladies teams that have been around for a good few years now, and it's great for them to have the support of the hashtag men's team, and it goes both ways. It really does. They're doing really well. They're doing really, really well, and I think they can only be a success. The club's structure and the way it works and how it runs is a platform for success. So I think the girls' team are only going to go one way.
Yeah, they're a fantastic side, the ladies' side.
Indeed. And got another question in here from Kurt. Kurt says, if you didn't play football, what would you have been?
Oh, what would I have been? Well, when I left Chelsea and before I signed professionally at West Ham, obviously I was playing part time, like I said, at Leatherhead and Warren Hersham. I was working up in the city at Lloyd's of London, up in the city. So I was up there doing that. But looking back now, I'm not sure. I love travelling. I'm a big travel fan. I love to travel all over the world. I've just come back from coaching. I've been away coaching for 2 weeks. Love that. That was fantastic. So if I'd not played football, well, it even shows you. I played on 3 continents and all over as well. So it would have been something out of this country, I would say. I'm not sure what, but wouldn't have been here.
Fair enough.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, we've got our next guest waiting in the wings. The one after that is Jason Maher, who's the Saffron Walden manager.
They're good side.
One of your rivals. So I'm gonna give it the old 1 and 2 between you two. When the season kicks off again, I'm gonna say 1 and 2 with you and Saffron Walden. I don't know what way around, because I watched them a couple of times before lockdown, and they're a good side.
They're a really good side, and they've been a good side for a long time. Really good in and around the Essex Senior, and I've got no doubt. When we start again next season, that they'll be right up there.
Yeah, cool. All right, Tom. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Your career, and I'll hopefully, when we get out of this mess, me and Clint will come over to a hashtag game.
Definitely, 100%.
Hopefully, we get to speak to Spencer about setting up that vet side.
That's all we need. Let's make it 5-a-side, though. We don't want to do too much running.
Walking football.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Mate. Appreciate it. Take it easy.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go. Brilliant first guest there. Just a reminder to our viewers listening in right now, who are listening in or watching via Twitter, we're now going to say goodbye. You can still watch us on our YouTube link, which you should be able to find if you scroll down either on mine or Coveys' Twitter account. So we're just going to say goodbye to you, YouTube viewers. You stay where you are, because we love you.
YouTube.
Come over to YouTube. It's not far. Don't worry, it's not far, but come over. But yeah, we're going to go into our next guest, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I think he's waiting in the wings.
I think he's doing his hair as well.
What's that?
I think he's finished doing his hair as well. So We caught him.
He's been buzzing. He's been buzzing to come on. He is. He's been buzzing.
There we go. Mr. Watson.
How are you?
Good, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. I've not got much hair left. What do you mean I've been doing my hair?
I saw you in the background doing this. This is what I do in the morning, mate.
How you doing?
Yeah, very good, thanks, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. You had an eventful day. What have you been doing today? You've been doing football, anything football, media?
No, nothing today. Our game was off. We've been trying to sort a training session out for possibly tomorrow if it thaws out a bit, or Monday, because we've got a game Tuesday at Eastbourne away. So we obviously need to train before that game. Disappointing we couldn't play today, but it's a new 4G. You know, the club have paid nigh on 450 grand for it, or something in that region, and it was covered in snow, frozen. If you take that off and it's still frozen on top, then you risk really damaging it. I don't think people quite grasp, you know, how much you can damage that sort of surface if you play on it when it's like that.
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, and this is similar to the same thing as what's happened at Harlow, because their pitch was fantastic, and now it's in places it's awful, like concrete. It's hardly any extra there.
Yeah, it'll just become Bearville. Do you know what I mean? The bounce will go out of it. Literally, the artificial stuff will snap. It will snap off. So then the bounce goes out of it. It becomes bare. So you've got to be careful with it. And the club only relayed it in the summer, so you don't want to damage it like that.
No. So how are you enjoying life at Billericay, mate?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. It's been a little bit stop-start, which has been frustrating. But I went through a hell of a process to get the job. So, I think 60 odd applicants, very good applicants at that, 3 Zoom interviews. So to come through that and get the job, I was, chuffed with. You've got to be chuffed with that.
Yeah, you've done your apprentice. To be honest, you've done your apprentice, and your clubs you've been at as assistant and as a manager, you've been at some big clubs, to be fair to you. You ain't been at like step 9, your apprentice. You've been doing it up there.
I have. Obviously, I was, the one that goes under the radar a little bit was with Mick Harford at Luton, where I finished my career.
Yeah.
Literally finished at Christmas 2009, and Mick was like, "Do you want to help me?" I was like, "Well, yeah, go on then. I've got nothing else I can do." So I ended up being assistant or joint assistant with Alan Nielsen to Mick. We went on and won the Johnston's Paint. That was the year of the real money problems and the points deductions and all that sort of stuff. So the club ended up getting relegated. I then left and went on to Soccer Saturday. Come out of Soccer Saturday, went with Ted to Stevenage, then on to Bishop Stortford, Eastleigh. Hungerford with Ian Herring. By the way, what guy is, I don't know if you've had Spud on, but you should.
We will do. We follow each other.
He's got stories to tell. He's a good guy. So I was driving up there Tuesday, Thursday evenings, 2 and a bit hours to get there, getting home 1 o'clock in the morning, but thoroughly enjoyed it because he's a good man and really enjoyed working with him, and it was good. I also ended up doing some cover supervising in a school, so I'm getting back from there like 1:30 in the morning and up again at 6:30 to go into a school to do cover supervising and teaching at that point, and that happened all before the Ebbsfleet gig.
Jeez. So let's go on, Clint. What was you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was going to say, just Kevin, talk to me about some of the coaches that you worked alongside, because I think you mentioned Nick Harford there. You've mentioned a couple of others. Just talk to me about some of the coaches you worked alongside, and who did you kind of learn from the most? Because I always hear that, I was under this person and I picked this up. So I'm just curious to hear from your background, like who did you pick up the most amount of your style from, should I say?
My style, I think you always have to have your own style. I know everybody says that, but I was a passing midfielder, almost like one that would go under the radar. I'd get it. I could pass it 5 yards. I could pass it 10 yards. I also could pass it over long distances. That was my probably biggest asset. My vision was good. But I used to know what I was good at, and I would give it to flair players. You know, I was watching Rodri earlier this evening, and if you to the untrained eye, you're probably thinking he's not done much. That guy is a Rolls Royce. He has absolutely strolled through that game this evening, and a bit like Thiago at Liverpool as well. To an untrained eye, they go under the radar. But in terms of who I picked the most up from, I was fortunate enough when I had signed as a pro after being an apprentice at Spurs under Terry Venables. And to this day, he has been the best coach that I've ever worked for. He was 25 years in front of his, or before his time, should I say.
Yeah.
Some of the ideas he had on football, early 90s, you look back now and go, wow, you know, people thinking that they're coming out and reinventing the wheel now.
Yeah.
No. He done that.
They've just read his book.
Well, clearly. I remember a training session on a Saturday. Spurs were playing at home to Liverpool on a Sunday. And he kept Goodney Bergson, who I'm sure you both remember. He kept Goodney Bergson out to tell him how to play against John Barnes. Now, John Barnes used to do, obviously, a fantastic footballer. He used to pick the ball up with his left foot. His main thing was chink inside, go inside, attack a fullback's inside foot, and then dive outside, back onto his left. He was teaching Goodney, and he had a youth team player doing it, how to slide to hook the ball away from Barnes to then get up and still be in possession of football. It was that sort of level of detail that he was going into, even in the early 90s. He was a fantastic coach. Fantastic.
So let's rewind it all the way back, Clint. So I used to play with Kev's brother Gary at Walden when we was like 10, 11, and Kev was just like a skull. He was like this Hackney version of Paul Scholes.
Just not ginger.
He was just like an unreal player. And so just tell us from there, where, you know, that early, and then where you went. We know we ended up at Spurs, it was a pro club, but where did it start?
Well, it started at was at Dalbany Road School in Hackney, and there's a real good story that goes with that one, because I grew up 250 yards from a lad called Jeff Minton, who I became friends with at school. We played every level of football together, from school, district, county. Both went to Tottenham together, youth team, reserves. And the night I made my debut against Brentford, Jeff come on for the last 10 minutes. So we grew up 250 yards from each other. And the night I made my debut, he ended up on the pitch as well. This is at a Premier League football club. And we grew up and went through the whole system together. And he went on, had a decent career. I went on, had a decent career. Even when I played at Rotherham, we signed him on loan from Port Vale. So we ended up playing 200 mile away up north in the same Rotherham midfield as well.
Jesus.
But that's it. So it started in Hackney. I went straight to Tottenham Bill as an 11-year-old and went all the way through the system. As an apprentice, 16 to 18. 18, I signed a 1-year deal. The other boys that got taken on, I was almost like the poorer relation, if you like. So the Darren Caskies, the Nicky Barmbys, the Sol Campbells, Jeff, they all had 2-year deals. I got given a 1-year deal, and I was touch and go whether I got given a pro contract. A month into pre-season, I had a 4-year contract, and they were still on their 2-year contracts, because I went away and worked so hard to get back in, to prove that I was as good as them, that within a month I was on a 4-year contract.
Wow.
Which was double what those boys had, and made my debut before all of them, which, you know, to this day I'm quite proud of.
You scored as well, didn't you?
Yeah, scored at home. Only header of my career, I tell people. And I don't just mean goal. I mean only header, full stop. I never headed the ball. Didn't like it, but yeah, scored my debut at home against Brentford in the League Cup.
I was talking to Tommy earlier about you saying that you obviously we're going to talk about your debut goal, and he was saying that League Cups don't count.
They all count, mate. They all count. They all count. Of course, they all count.
I want to fast forward a little bit because you played under a manager that actually came up last night. In fact, Alan Pardew.
Oh, I knew he was going to say that.
Listen, I'm a Newcastle fan, so I've experienced Pards. Obviously not as well as you've experienced him, but what was he like as a person, as a character? Does he really have that bravado that everyone talks about?
Pards was Marmite, and I know that's a well-used term, but he was Marmite. So I really liked him, and the reason I really liked him, which I've taken on into my managerial career thus far, is the fact about being honest with people. I went into so many managers' offices and said, "What do I do? I'm at the team. What do I need to do to be in the team? You know, where do I stand?" And they'd feed me so much crap. I'd come out and I'd go, "What's the point of even going in there?" After I've come out, I don't know what I've got to do. I don't know why I'm not playing. I don't know what I've got to do to play. I had conversations with Pards where he just go, "This is why you're not playing. You need to do this." Okay, right, I need to do that. He was incredibly honest. It might be to his detriment, I don't know. He used to take me off 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go in nearly every game. This is when we got to the playoffs at Reading, with Reading. And the lads were like, "You've got to have a word, because it's becoming embarrassing now, because when the ball goes up with 20 minutes to go, it's you know you're going off." I was like, "Yeah, I know." So I had a word with him, and at the time, James Harper was a young lad coming through who ended up being a good player for Reading, had a good career. So I said to Pards, this is becoming a standing joke, boss. Like, what's going on? You're taking me off every single game. I'd have to be the best on the pitch, you're taking me off." And he went, "What don't you have?" I went, What do you mean don't I have? I've not got a lot of things, but what don't? He went, "What don't you have?" I went, "I'm not the quickest." He went, "There you go." He went, "He possesses a lot of pace. So when teams are tiring and I need to change it, and you've passed them to death, but the game is going to definitely get stretched and we need more legs, a bit of pace, it's nothing to do with how you've been playing." And I was like, I was still young at the time, and I had to think about it and was like, "Do you know what? He's actually right. He's actually right. My passing game that's made them, stretch the pitch or whatever, it now needs a bit of legs and a bit of pace when everyone's getting tired." And so, incredibly honest, you could actually hate him because he had some nasty banter. I always got on really well with him.
How many times have you used that excuse in your management? Players will come and, "Boss, what are you telling me off for?" What haven't you,
Bill? You've got to be honest. You know that. You've got to be honest. I always tell players, listen, I won't dress it up. If it's tactical, it's tactical. If you've been crap, you've been crap. I'll tell you. That's the end of it. And we can talk about it as much as we like. But at the end of the day, I will live and die by my decisions. That's how it works.
Yeah. So the first manager to sign you from Spurs, obviously you've gone from Venables. Was it Steve McMahon, Swindon?
Yeah, it was Maher. Yeah, different. Steve was different. He signed me. I thought I was going there. I had a couple of options, but I thought Swindon, notorious feeder club from Spurs, a lot of Spurs players had been there. I thought that was the best option.
Yeah.
But obviously Steve McMahon was a different sort of player to what I was. Midfielder, yes, which I went down the route of and bought. But he was a hard man. He was hard, and he could pass it. He was an excellent. He had an all-round game. At the time, I was just a pretty boy. Get it, give it. Don't want to get tackled. Don't want to make a tackle. Don't want to head it.
Yeah.
The day after I signed, and he'd been badgering me to sign, I think he was waiting on someone else, because the day after I signed, he signed Scott Leach, who was, I think he was just, well, I'm not thinking. He's a lad from Scotland, ended up being Motherwell manager as well. Leach, he was a great lad, but he left-footed, but he had not as probably the passing range that I did and the vision that I did, but he was a rat. He was a grafter, organizer at the time, older than me. So I think he signed me thinking Leachy wasn't going to sign, and then all of a sudden he became available, and he literally signed within a couple of days, and I was like, whoa, what's happened here? So I played second fiddle to Leachy for a long period of the 3 years that I was at that club. However, it taught me the game. I left Swindon a much better player than I probably left off.
Yeah. And three, I don't know if it's more than three, but three promotion sides you played in?
3 promotion teams, four promotions, yeah. So
yeah.
I literally, and it's a good story, I think. I left Swindon, so I'd obviously been at Tottenham 4-year contract. It went a bit sour there. Not played in the first team for 3 of those years. Went to Swindon, lost my way towards the end of there. Jimmy Quinn took over from Maher, released me from Swindon. I had a trial game. The only place I had to go from Swindon was a trial game at Halifax in the National League. That's the only thing I could get, and I was like, I need to do something else. It's snookered here. I'm not going up to Halifax for what it's worth. I was playing in the Premier League 4 years, or played in the Premier League 4 years ago. What the hell's gone on? And I sat and I was quite distraught at this point. Yeah. And then I got a phone call from Ronnie Maher at Rotherham, and it turned out that Ronnie and his assistant John Brecken had marked me off. They used to put stars against names when they used to watch reserve games. And they gave me 3 stars. I played in a reserve game against Southampton. They drove all the way to the county ground to watch this game. And they marked me off 3 stars. And they contacted the PFA, because I didn't have an agent, and said, we need a midfielder. We need this type of midfielder. Do you know anyone? And Clive Whitehead at the time, who was helping me, said, oh, well, Kev Watson's, he's with that club. So Ronnie, to this day, because obviously, the history I've got with Ronnie Maher, I went through the file and went, oh yeah, look, we marked him off. I went up there with my wife. They showed me the ground for about 2 minutes. Obviously, Millwall's not the best ground in the world. And then went, we're going to show you some houses. There's new builds and blah, blah. Within 2 hours, I'd signed for Rotherham after having no club, and then captained them to back-to-back promotions in consecutive years, missing 2 games. So that was the catalyst to the start of the rest of my career.
Unreal.
Yeah, that is a bit of a story. That I was nearly done, Bill. I was nearly finished. Sat on the stairs. I remember Swindon and thought, it's not for me. I finished.
So then after that, you went and done it again at Reading.
Yeah. So it ended a bit sour at Rotherham. The Rotherham fans and myself are great now, but so I'd captained them to back-to-back promotions, League 2 to League 1, League 1 to the Championship. And then I'd missed 2 games. So I'd played 100-odd games in those 2 years. I was physically knackered. But then my daughter was born on August 2nd. So I went all through pre-season with the worry of her being born. There was complications in the pregnancy. So the start of the season, I was absolutely kiboshed. I was knackered. But weren't playing bad. We drew the first 4 games. But because of the level of success the club had, I think, and I had the armband on, they thought I should be leading by example, we should be on the up. And I weren't crap by any sense of the imagination. I was playing average. But a group of them turned on me quite badly. And that's how we got to a point after the first 4 games where Ronnie dropped me. It went for another 4 or 5 games where I weren't involved. And then Pards, because I'd played with him in the Inter-Toto Cup for Spurs, remembered me, and he was Reading manager and took me there on loan. And they were having a difficult time. I signed on the same day John Starko signed on loan. They were 14th, and it's probably just because change sake, but we won 5 out of 6 games. So John's Starko's position was different. He was at Charlton, I think. They just let him go. But Ronnie was like, "No, you're coming back now." I went back, played in a derby game against Sheffield United, 2-0 down, scored the first one, set up the second one, drew to all, drove home, right? Drove home from Bramall Lane and thought, you know what? I'm back. It's going to go all right now. I've just done great. Set the first one up, scored the second. And there was a radio show called Praise or Grumble on Radio Sheffield. And someone rung in and basically went, "Yeah, he's done all right today, and but yeah, he still needs replacing." I was like, right, and it shouldn't affect you, but it does. And I was like, I've had enough, and went back, played a game against Wolves, started the game really well. I think I hit the post with a long distance shot, hit a couple of really good passes, gave the ball away once after the first 10 minutes, and I heard boos, and I was like, this is my time at this club is now over.
Yeah.
And Pards basically tried to get me back, signing me, but the budget had gone, and eventually I did go back in the March with 8 games to play. He paid the money that offering us.
There's another name that I want to ask you about. I think you spent some brief amount of time with him, Teddy Sheringham.
All right, yeah.
So what was it like working with Teddy Sheringham? Because we all know him from, winning titles and, playing at Tottenham and all the rest of it, playing for England. So what was it like working with him? Because that was at a point in time when you was a manager. Is that correct? He was an assistant manager to him?
Yes. So when I made my debut and I started as a young lad at Spurs, Teddy was obviously established in the first team. So that's where he first knew me. Then also from obviously around where we lived, and then he came to Colchester. My last season at Colchester was blighted with injuries, Achilles and calf injuries. Ended up in the stand for 40 out of the 46 games. But Teddy was also injured, and we sat and we used to watch games and sit next to each other and talk about the game, etc. And spent a lot of time, so probably 20 odd games, sitting there talking about football. And then he got the Stevenage job. And I've been appointed the Walden and Tiptree manager in the Ryman League by the Colchester manager and the Walden manager, because they're a feeder club for Colchester. That lasted 11 days. I was down in Colchester signing players, and Teddy called me and said, "Can you stop by on your way back?" So I stopped at Ted's, and he basically said, "Do you want to help me?" So I had to leave Walden, which had never really started, and became Ted's assistant. I think and Ted will look back at it now, is you're going from the football Ted knows, and this is no disrespect to any Stevenage player, because I still speak to a few of them. It's no disrespect to League Two, but you're talking about a footballer that's been there, done it at the very, very highest level. Yeah. Wants to play the game in a certain way, and he's taken over from a manager that had been successful at Stevenage, got them to the playoffs in Graham Wesley. But you go, Graham Wesley and the way Graham Wesley wants to play the game of football, Teddy Sheringham, the way Teddy Sheringham wants to play the game of football, with the same group of players, is not going to happen. Is not going to happen. So I think the biggest thing that Ted learned, and I won't be speaking out of turn because we've had the conversation, is the biggest part of management is actually player recruitment. There's only so many training sessions that anybody can put on. It's getting the players that you want to play the way you want to play. But in terms of a person, great guy, down to earth, do anything for you, and actually put in a good word for me at Billericay as well. So I'm incredibly grateful for that as well.
Have you got to sign Charlie though as a little sweetener?
I tried to sign Charlie. Do you know what? I would have signed Charlie, and we had the conversation. We played Dartford my first game. I'd not hardly taken the training session, so it was almost not a free hit, but it was the first game after taking over. And Charlie had been recalled from Chelmsford, and I spoke to him in the tunnel, and we had a chat, and I said, I'll speak to you, I don't know what's happening going forward. I went, are you playing? He said, I don't know. They've called me back from Chelmsford. I don't know if I'm going to play. I went, oh, okay. Anyway, the team sheet's come in. He's playing. And he got a trick, and we lost 3-0. So he's good. He's good footballer, Charlie. He's good footballer. He knows his stuff.
When I done a YTS at Arsenal, we went out doing coaching, and I coached Teddy when he was proper young, and I played some sort of small part in his development.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Teddy. He's got a lot of time for everybody. And like I say, I know him and get along with him, and he's been good to me over the years. So he's a good guy.
So with when obviously football comes back with Billericay, when you go back into it, obviously you've got the facilities now. You've got the facilities pretty much. I'm not sure if you are full time at the minute, but you've got the facilities to become full time if you're not already. Is that something that you're looking at?
In time, I think, Bill. Yeah, I mean the structure at the club now is brilliant. There's 5 owners. They all have little different interests in the club. Yeah. When it comes to major decisions, they obviously amalgamate and get together, and they all make those decisions. Yeah. There's a 4G out the back now where the car park was, as a practice facility, if you like.
Yeah.
Our pitch is top of the range, 4G. I think going forward it is a work in progress. Obviously, we know how the club was, and it was a little bit of a firework just ready to go off. The club are not going to be put in that position anymore. It's a slow burner. The budget isn't crap, but it's also not silly. That's going to bankrupt the club or put the club in any danger of folding or any sort of trouble like that. Yeah. It's just a good budget where you be able to compete towards the top end of the league. But going forward, yeah, I don't think it'll be next year. But the club can become full time because of success. Most certainly, that's the route that you'd look to go down.
Yeah. Good. Got a good ladies' side there as well. Our friends Scott and Terry running it over there. I've got another one of my ex-players as well, Lewis Hagland. He's coaching. I think it's the under 18s. So I've got a lot of guys over there as well. A lot of people who I know are over there. So I'm really in with Billericay. I'm invested. I want to see you do well. Yeah,
there's good people there, Bill. Brownie, Danny Brown, who does the 23s, who took interim charge, has stayed with me. The moment I met him, I was like, I want you in and around me, because him and myself are completely different. He only grew up down the road in Bethnal Green. Says it how it is. Good coach. And we literally had, 11 of his 23s played last week. Really? And I don't mind saying, we're playing St Albans, who could have gone top that day. And I'm thinking, we'll get beat. This is my honest opinion. I'll tell you now. We'll get beat. Let's hope the lads do themselves justice. And they obviously did themselves more than justice. They were absolutely fantastic to a player. And I had to give Brownie credit because he's been working with them throughout. And they were brilliant. Their fitness levels were good. They understood what I wanted them to do after only one training session, which means Brownie and I are thinking along the same wavelength. Yeah. So going forward, I think things are boding well.
Yeah, cool. There's a couple of questions, Clint, in there to finish off on.
Yeah, just the last couple. We've got one from Peter. We've got who said, "Did you go your whole career without an agent? What are your true feelings towards an agent representing young players?
What a good question that is. Yes and no. I didn't really have an agent. I had a couple that pretended they represented me and then wanted money after I signed for clubs that had misrepresented me. So I won't even class them as agents because I think that an agent should be working for you properly. So even though I technically did on 2 occasions, I'm going to answer no. And Ted's agent, Barry Neville, helps me now, represents me, but he's more of a friend than an agent. How do I feel about it? Do you need an agent at my level? Probably not. Do you need an agent playing at my level at 16, 17? Probably not. If you're good enough, you'll come through the system. It's as simple as that. And you don't need to be paying any people money to get you through the system. Yeah. Possibly a little bit different if you're the elite, but again, not sure.
Got another one here from Peter as well. He said, "You said that Billericay process was intense. You arrive, all your players are furloughed. Is it a relief to play players that you can look at for next season with no pressure?"
Yeah, maybe. It's not ideal because you're not normally, you wouldn't normally throw 11 under 23s in with no experience, 6 debuts all in one game. You would normally drip feed it 2, 3 maximum at a time. The club has made a decision, again, based on what I would call really good ownership of saying, no, we're not going to put the club in any sort of trouble. League could be finished in a couple of weeks. What we're going to say is furlough those players. We'll give the under 23s and non-contracted players a chance. So, yes, based on one game, and I can only say it's based on one game, it has given me a chance to look and see what players can do at our level from that group.
Yeah.
However, we know that young players can be inconsistent, and I will need to see them probably over another 2-3 games.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, Kev, I think we've reached the end. We've got our next manager waiting in the wings.
Top man, mate.
Thank you so much for coming on, mate. I'm so honoured that you've come on. I've obviously we've known each other for a long time, but you know, our paths have gone. It's
flown by, mate. And I really appreciate it. It's been a really good interview.
Hopefully we'll get you back on again. We talk like maybe at the end of the season to discuss how your first season at Billericay went. But I wish you and all the players all the best.
I appreciate it, chaps. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, mate. Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Bye,
cheers, guys. Bye.
Cool. And then on to our third guest. Here we have Jason.
Hello, mate.
I think you've got yourself muted, Jason, so you need to unmute yourself. Because I can't unmute you for some reason.
Yeah. How are we?
There we go.
All right, mate.
Not bad, you?
Yeah, sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right, no worries. I'm enjoying the show.
Kev had stories for days, didn't he, there? So did you, was you listening to Tommy? With his hashtag?
I was listening to Tom. He's a good guy, Tom.
So where do you have the, I've got you down as 1 and 2 when it kicks off again. I know there's obviously a lot of other, I know Waldenstein are probably going to get the right up with me for saying it. But obviously I watched you play against Enfield, and I just, you just proper players in your side. What I mean about proper players is like it looked like they was proper men, and that's. I think you'll be a force when the season finally gets back to whether we're going to carry on, or whether we're going to start again. But I do think you'll be right up there if you can keep that group of players together.
Yeah, it's difficult this season. I think the start was just didn't feel. It just felt weird, you know. Rushed pre-season, and in the back of your mind, every week you didn't know what was going on. If somebody had a cold, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, have they got COVID? Can they play?" I have to be honest, it wasn't that enjoyable this season, but I'd like to think we get back to some sort of level of normality. You know, we can be in the mix. That's certainly the target. Won't be easy. Some good sides out. Walthamstow, hashtag, you know, an excellent side. We're a good side. You know, when we're at our best, I think, you know, we're a good side. But certainly, yeah, it'll be interesting when it restarts. We've definitely got some good players, no question about that. I think this year we've probably assembled the best squad we've ever had. Something there anyway.
Yeah.
We had a couple of mixed results. Williams didn't go away. I think it was a little bit bitty. But yeah, listen, I think everybody involved in football is looking forward to hopefully start, you know, as soon as we can, really.
Yeah, and you hit 100 games for the club as well. That must have been a problem.
Yeah, I mean, 100 games as manager. Obviously, I took over in sort of just before November 2018. So yeah, 100 games as manager. I've been there for in total now over 2 spells. I think I've been there 8 seasons now over 2 spells. So yes, it's a great club. It's a great club. I enjoy working there. You know, it's a great for me. It's probably, you know, I'm probably maybe biased and hashtag people will probably have a different opinion. For me, it's probably one of the biggest in the division. Proud history, great support. You know, and it's a good club with good people, great fan base. Lucky to work for a really good chairman and a board who, you know, try and support you, try and do everything they can to help. Yeah, it's a good job.
Yeah, I hadn't been there as a manager. I played there years and years ago, but that was the first time when I came to watch you against Liverpool. That was the first time I've been there, sort of like as a, you know, without playing and just looking around and no pressure. And you know, you got some amazing fans there. You know, everything was just like proper non-league evening. You know, you had the bar open, the burgers and the tea woman. You had a couple from Enfield Town that used to be at Enfield Town when I was at Enfield Town as a player. They used to follow Enfield Town, but now they're reviews. And it was just,
Peter and Carol.
Yeah,
good people, good guys.
Yeah, and they was like, "Oh, yeah, we've come over here because it feels like proper club," and it did feel like that. As soon as I went through the turnstile, you know, it just felt like it felt really good. It felt really good clubs. Must be a really good club to be at.
Yeah, it's weird because the first time I actually went to Saffron Walden was when I was up on Welford. We went there for a furlough London game, and I think we won 4-1 actually on the night at Long Welford, and it was a place. And when I went there, I thought, wow, every time I've been there, I've really enjoyed it. And it was somewhere that I thought, oh, this is a really good, proper club. And obviously, when I got the chance in sort of 2013 to go there under Colin Wallen as assistant, it was probably an opportunity that I felt like I couldn't turn down, really.
Yeah. So where did it all start for you, Jay? What sort of club was your first club?
My story starts really sort of probably Boxing Day in 2006, really. I'd just come back. I'd been in the army, and I'd come back, and one of my mates was the reserve team manager at Rotherham and Reading.
Yeah.
Been playing at Step 5 down on the south coast, and I wanted to play. And it's funny, I had a chance to go play at Long Welford, or go and play for my mate at Burnham and try and get in the first team. So the Essex Senior League was closed over Christmas, so I was playing for the reserve. Started pretty well. I got 6 goals in the first 3 games. I was doing well, and then played away at Rayleigh on Boxing Day once. And I went in for a tackle. I think I miscontrolled the ball, and I was well on my goalie, and I stuck my leg there, and I could just knock it around him, and he tackled me in the double break of my tib and the double break of my fib.
Wow.
So I was in hospital for a couple of days. I had an operation. They said you might make a full recovery if your rehab goes well. Then I think it was New Year's Day. I was watching the darts final at home. I had my leg up and I started not feeling too great. I started feeling pretty rough. I went to the hospital that night. An hour. I was going down for emergency surgery. I'd had a blood clot. And I got something called compartment syndrome, which is where like the vessels are compacted by like the swelling. I was pretty lucky, really. I was lucky I didn't lose my leg, but I didn't get out of hospital for about 10 or 12 weeks. I was in for. I think I had 4 or 5 operations. I had to have a skin graft. And when I went and saw the specialist, he said to me straight away, "There's no chance that you will play again." So it's
How old was
you? 27.
Blimey.
How do you deal with that mentally, Jay? Like you play football.
To be honest with you, I was very lucky. Makes me quite emotional to talk about it, to be fair. I would say that after I'd done it, I was in a bad place for probably 6 months. Couldn't get my head around the injury. The rehab was very, very slow. Didn't seem like a lot of progress. And I was lucky. I didn't know what I was going to do, really. I wanted to football. And then I got a call from Rob Small, who obviously is the Bowers manager now. He was playing at Burnham at the time, but he was also the manager of the Sunday side for Dutch. And I was quite lucky. One of my best mates, Kevin Hunter, was sort of he'd been through a similar injury sort of 18 months previous, and he'd been good support. But I was desperate to get back into football. Smallsy got my number, he'd heard about my injury playing for Burnham, and he just called me up one day. I didn't know him at all. Called me up and said, "Look, I'm really sorry to get up with your injury. I hope you're okay." And said, "Look, I'll run a Sunday side for Dutch. And I know you're missing football. Why don't you come and help me?" And that's what it started from, really, for me.
Brilliant.
So, I've got a lot to thank. I've got a lot to thank Bob for. He's been a good mate since then. He's a proper bloke. He's loyal. And if he probably hasn't reached out to me, I don't know if I'd be doing it now, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's a top guy, Smallsy.
He's a top bloke.
So that must have been quite big news, that injury. It's a massive injury.
Listen, I think I've had 10 operations. If you saw my leg after I had it done, the best way I could probably describe it was like somebody had got a load of Donica bat and put it over the top of my leg. And that's what it looked like. It was. I think I've had 8 or 9 operations on that leg. To be honest with you, I feel quite fortunate now in a way, really, because I'm still involved in the game. I think I'm a better manager than I definitely was playing. I think it's taught me a lot as a manager as well. When I've got players who play for me who are injured, I'll always make sure that I call them, even if they've been away for a couple of weeks. I'll always call them. I'll always check in, see how they are. And if they've got injuries, the club can't help them, I'll make sure that I find somebody that can treat them. Because I was lucky when I done mine. I had good people around me to help me sort of get me back on the path. But injuries are tough. They're never nice for anybody.
No, Jesus. So you got first question from Kurt Smith.
Yeah.
Who's the best player that you've ever signed?
Wow.
I was thinking that you must have signed him at some point.
I'd probably say the best player that I've ever signed. When we was at Saffron, I'd probably say 2, to be fair. 2 for different reasons. One, because been with me at Walden for a long time. I mean, Stuart Wardley signed Craig Calver, who was obviously a pro from Saffron Walden. He'd been out of the game for about 6 months. He'd left Chelmsford. He wasn't really very happy, and we signed him. He's an absolutely phenomenal player at his best. But also, I'd say another player who just done things with football that just was stupid. When we signed Lee Sawyer for a couple of months, when he was fit and injury free, he was just a joke.
Yeah.
He sort of passes and done things that were just embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
Sawyer's obviously a close mate of mine now, but he was a phenomenal player. But Craig Calver's probably, for the length of time, you know, when he came to us at Saffron Walden season, we got promoted. He was on a different planet from anybody I'd ever seen. He was a joke for us.
Yeah, with Sawyer, you know, me and you have spoken about Sawyer for probably a couple of seasons now. Where I've been trying to nick him off you. Firstly for Epping, then at Swifts. Got lucky, got him for one game, 45 minutes, and then he done his ankle. And I've spoke to him offline, and he knows how I feel about Lee. He's still got time to do something, you know. He's still got time to get himself fit.
Yeah, I mean, I had Lee live with me for 2 or 3 months. I think until you get to know the boy, you probably have an opinion of him that people have an opinion of him, but actually the real Lee, a different side of Lee's, a different person. You know, I think that he's probably just unlucky. I think in a way that, you know, he certainly made poor decisions at times. I think he'd be the first to acknowledge that he's done some silly things. But I also think that what he probably needed the manager to put his arm around him, believe in him, and rather than when he was having a difficult time, cast him aside. You know, he probably needs someone to put his arm around and say, "You know what, Lee, I'm gonna help you," because that boy is a wasted talent. You know, and he could have done anything. And I still think when I still speak to him now, I still speak to him most days. To be fair, I say to him, Lee, just get yourself fit. And, you know, for about 18 months when he was at Chelmsford, he was the best player in the National League South by absolute mile.
Yeah.
He's got so much ability. You know, just I think unfortunately for him, you know, some bad decisions have, you know, helped him. But Lee's a good kid. He's a decent lad, and he's he was a phenomenal player.
Well, if you're watching this, Lee, or if you're going to watch it back, just do yourself a favour and just get yourself back into it, mate, because you have got, you know what I mean, you've got far too much to offer just to go be wasted away. And there's plenty of gaffers, plenty of clubs that would love you at their club. That's for Sawyer, if he's watching. Back to you. I would say, what about Tiger Smalls? Talk to me about Tiger Smalls.
Tiger Smalls. So the season we signed him, the season before, we was really going for it, and we lost one of our best players, Dan Trendle. He went to St Neots. That season we had a front line of like Charlie Portway, we had Dan Trendle one side, Lewis Francis the other side. I think Charlie Portway got about 37 goals, Lewis got about 30, and Dan Trendle got about 25. And I think that season, no lie, I think he won 20 penalties in this senior league. Not a diver, just the fastest player I've ever seen. When we needed a winger, and I was looking, and I went and watched this boy from Haverhill, this young kid. I think he was 16 or 17, 16 I think at the time. Dan had gone, we really needed a forward, and I said to a few people, I'm going to try and sign this boy for Haverhill. Are you sure? He's 16-year-old boy. Are you sure? We need somebody who's going to get goals for us. Obviously, we were going through it with hashtag, and Wolf was down. I was like, oh, don't know about that. I could see there's a few people around the club going, well, I'm not sure about this one. We need an experienced striker or winger, and Jason's going to find some 16-year-old kid from Haverhill. I remember his first training session, he tipped up, and he didn't say a word to anybody. He was so quiet. And I remember we'd done this finishing drill at the end, and he stuck about 5 in the stanch, and the boys were like, well, it looks like he can finish. I remember his debut. So I thought, I'm not going to stick him on the bench, I'm just going to start him straight away. I remember we played at home against Cockfosters. Got the ball in the inside channel. If we give him good service, he'll score. I think 2 minutes in, he beat the fullback, got 1-on-1 with goal, stuck it in the corner. 5 minutes later, chopped 2 geezers up, bent it in the corner, we were 2-0 up. He touched the ball about 3 times and then scored twice. He has got unbelievable talent. Probably one of the most naturally talented young players I've seen. I remember a game for us away at Hadley, a really important game at their place. They sort of won, I think, 12 straight at home. I remember Tiger got the ball on the edge of our box and ran past about 7 players, 1-on-1 with the goalie, and he put it just wide, and he probably should have scored. But it was like watching somebody on, like, do you know FIFA when you press the top triangle button and they're just running much quicker than everybody else? It was just like that. But he was phenomenal. I mean, he went on trial just before the lockdown. Went into Arsenal on trial, trained with the first team. There was a couple of pictures of him on their website. So, yeah, I really think this year, if the COVID hadn't happened, I think somebody would have took a punt and first come to watch him. And they offered him a deal with Oxford at their 23s, but Tiger and his family, I think, wanted to go down a slightly different route with him, which is fair enough. Is that, that's their way. That they've been, they've gone down the sort of pro route when Tiger was YTS at Spurs, and it wasn't for them. It didn't work out for them. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next 18 months if he gets lucky with injuries, if he doesn't be a pro, because he's a frightening talent.
Is he still with you? Is he still signed with you?
No, he lives in sort of the outside of Cambridge, so travelling was a bit different, and he wanted to make a step up. And he, just towards the end of us, when he was playing for us, he'd actually gone out to Serie A to train with a couple of clubs. And he went to Felixstowe at the beginning of the season, and I think the plan was for him to stay there till January, and I think it was pretty set in stone that he was going to have a move somewhere, but obviously, with everything that's gone on, it's sort of not quite happened yet. But I'm pretty sure that as soon as everything opens up, you'll get a move somewhere.
Yeah. Another question on there?
Yeah. So, another question here from Peter saying, "What are your aspirations for the club? What step can you push towards?"
I think it's difficult. I mean, when I took over, the objectives for the club was. The club haven't been at step 4 since 20 odd years. Since they've got relegated. As you probably know, Bill, when you played there, the pitch was like running like a travelator. It's not as hilly now, but they haven't been to that level for 20 odd years. So for the last 3 years since I've been there, since we've been in the Essex Senior League, we've been in the mix. So the aspirations for the club, especially the chairman, he's not shy in saying it. The aspirations are to get to step. Whether or not we're able to do that this season, who knows? You've got clubs in there, Walthamstow, well backed, hashtag, a big club, and they're, so it won't be easy. But I think certainly the aspirations of the club is to get to step 4. Lucky I've got a good chairman who's ambitious. I've got a good relationship with him. We think along the same lines. He's always really loyal to me, sticks with me when maybe I step out of line, or I can do things that I shouldn't do, or maybe say the odd thing that I shouldn't say sometimes in the heat of the moment. It's like you're passionate. I want to do well. I've been there for a long time. I've been there for 8 seasons. I think 7 or 8 seasons in total. So of course, there's nobody more disappointed on a Saturday when we don't win than me. I mean. I wanted to be the manager when Stixie left, and I've obviously had that opportunity. And I would love to be the person to lead them back to step 4. That's the target, that's the aim. We're quite vocal about that. Sometimes, that can mean you can get shot down if you don't get there. But certainly that's the aim. And the club with the following it's got, I'm sure it'll be a welcome addition to step 4 if we can do it in the future.
Yeah, I know you've been quite vocal on the COVID situation and expressed some of your views, but what do you think is the best case scenario now regarding the season?
I mean, I feel sorry for. This is just my personal view, and obviously when the season was null and voided last season, obviously we were top. I think I'd be naive to say I thought we were definitely going to win it because teams had games in hand.
Is it Hadley who had all the games in hand, or?
No, Hashtag had a couple of games in hand. So did Walker. I mean, Hashtag had to come to us last game of the season. We'd already been to them. They'd had to come to us. So, I mean, my personal view was I don't think we would have won it. Maybe not. I think things would have to go in our favour. But I think we could have definitely come second, and that could maybe opened up a playoff game. My view this time is I do feel sorry for Hashtag, and I do feel sorry for Walthamstow because over an 18-month period, along with us and Hadley, I think we've been the dominant four over both seasons. And I would have personally, the season when it got voided, I'd have rather seen that season concluded, even if that had meant that we'd have missed out. Because I think to have, Bill, you're a manager, you know what it's like. You have 18 months where you give a lot. You make a lot of sacrifices. Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturdays. Players have got injuries, serious injuries, to get you to that position. Or somebody at the FA just to say the season's now voided and we'll start getting in September with this all hanging in the horizon. I mean, I've got to be honest, there's been an absolute car crash. We've started another season. It's clearly not going to get finished. Can't see any way that it can, even if the lockdown gets lifted at the end of this month. Are we seriously saying after 3 months with no football, players should be expected to start playing matches again? I mean, we've had some serious injuries this season, and there's no question, and not just us, across the league. My opinion is that's been due to the poor handling from the FA of the situation. You can't expect players to not play for 3 months and suddenly expect them to play Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday.
And changing the car park as well. Not stretching properly, not sitting down.
Changing car parks, you're outside in the freezing cold, you can't shower after games. The inconsistency in the rules. My personal opinion is I would like to see a scenario where the FA maybe don't relegate anybody into the 16th league, but for a period they maybe promote. If they don't promote us, I wouldn't personally have an issue if Hashtag and Walthamstow were promoted, because I think over 18 months they've been two of the most consistent sides, and I think that success should be rewarded. Over that period, even if that means somebody doesn't come down, they should be given, my opinion, they deserve a chance at the high level, because, people deserve to have something to show for their efforts. I mean, the inconsistency, the FA Trophy and the FA Vars final is still going to go ahead from the season that was null and voided, because obviously that suits the FA because they want to make money from it. It's them sort of inconsistencies which sit very uneasy with me. I think you have to be consistent across the board. If you're going to null and void the season, you null and void the season for everybody up to the 2.
Yeah.
Which is the FA Vars and FA Trophy go ahead, and everybody else is just on their period just sort of wiped off. I don't agree with that.
No. All right, mate. All right, well, Joe, I think we've gone well over. So thank you for coming on. I thank you for sharing that story about your injury. I know you got emotional and it means a lot to you. So I thank you for sharing that. Obviously, I wish you well with Saffron. I'm sure I'll be back over again to watch you. Before we go, just obviously talking about injuries, just for the audience, this is for the viewers. Dean Perrett, he's a friend of mine. He just pops up on the screen now, I think, as well. Dean Perrett's a friend of mine. He's manager of Harlow Ladies. He was my assistant at Stalford Swift. Obviously, he had a heart attack in 2019. He was pretty much dead for like 32 minutes, 36 minutes. And the Essex and Arts Air Ambulance got him to the hospital on Sion Packworth Hospital, brought him back to life. And he's doing like a charity walk at the moment. He's trying to raise some money to donate to the Essex and Arts Air Ambulance. So if everyone can go to Dean Perrett's Twitter account or Harlow Ladies, if you can share, if you can't afford to donate, just share. It's an amazing thing he's doing. So if everyone can get on that, that'd be great. We'd really appreciate it. He's a friend of well. That's it.
Good cause, Bill. Great cause.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, Joe. I really appreciate it, mate.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
There we go. And that's at the end of another fantastic show. Thank you to all of our guests for coming on. And thank you once again for everyone listening as well. And Dean, no need to thank Bill. Bill would have done that anyway, wouldn't you, Bill? Because he's just a good guy like that. So yeah, just one more thing as well. As we said at the start of the show, that obviously if you didn't watch last night's show, make sure you tune into that. Again, if you're watching this back, just make sure you like it, share it, all that good stuff. We've got some amazing guests coming up as well. So please just make sure you stay tuned for that. And once again, thank you for watching. Can we have more about Clinton next time? No, you don't need to know about me, Kurt. No, you don't need to know about me.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to do it one Friday night when we haven't got like a A-lister on. I'll be sitting that side and you sit this side, and we'll chat about you.
Oh God, don't want to bore you lot to death, but anyway. Yeah, once again, thank you once again for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye bye.